Everybody, hey, good afternoon. Real Training Live time, guys. 1 o'clock Eastern. It is Wednesday. You know what that means. It means it is time for the most powerful training available in real estate today, guys. I'm excited to come at you one more time. Just really looking forward to today's conversation with you guys. And so here we go, man. It's 1 o'clock. You're in the right place. I am going to do one thing real quickly here while we wait for some other people to jump on live. I just want to make sure I can actually see you guys and handle any questions, comments. Want to just encourage you guys to make sure you are liking, commenting. I already see a few of you that have done that, so totally appreciate that. But there we go. Perfect. I can actually see you now. So again, share with me where you're jumping in from, guys. If you're live, let me know you're live. If you're rebroadcast, let me know that you're rebroadcast. And make sure, two things, guys, that you have shown up today with the commitment to learn and the commitment to ask questions if needed, all right? Because this is meant to be interactive, guys, okay? So if you need help, you have questions, you need something to improve the way your business is running, you're in the right place. So make sure just below, guys, you make that comment for me, all right? So, again, one thing I want to really reiterate with you guys is that I have two reasons every week that I show up, all right? I think this is important for you guys to hear this every week. All right, number one, my primary goal every time I step in front of the camera is to bring knowledge, is to bring information. It's to bring scripts, right? It's to bring systems. It's to bring the tools that you guys need to succeed. Stuff that I know works, all right? I've been doing this for 20 years, guys, and I know what it takes to make it happen in real estate, and I just want to share that with you, all right? And then the second thing is the motivation, right? The actual inspiration where I can just kind of reach through the camera and encourage you guys and kind of hand it to you and share with you that little nugget of motivation that you're going to take down inside of you that's going to cause you to want to take action, all right? Knowledge is not power, okay? I know we've heard that before. I used to say that all the time. Knowledge is power. Guys, the truth is, I know a lot of people, you know a lot of people that have a lot of knowledge. They don't have any power because they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, all right? So it's the action. It's deciding today, based on what we're going to talk about, what are you going to do with the information, all right? So I see a couple of you have jumped on. So Noe, thank you, man, from Chicago. Emily, of course, from Kansas. Jad from Detroit. And I think I also saw Mr. Mike Miguel from Queens, right? I think you're Queens, New York City. Big Apple, one of those places. So just glad to have you guys on board today. So Jad, let's see. What did you write down? A few of the guys in the office. Awesome. Glad to have all of you on board today. So let's jump in. All right. Today we're talking about one of my favorite things, which is handling objections. All right. How do we deal with that? So thanks, Mike, for the clarification. I thought it was Queens, but, you know, I had 1 out of 5 chance, right? I knew it wasn't Brooklyn. So anyway, man, handling objections, guys, one of my favorite topics because, you know, there's a skill set that is involved in the script, right? The actual script of what you're going to say to somebody, whether it's a FSBO, an expired, on a listing presentation. But you know, the reality, the real skill lies in what you're going to do with what they say back to you. Okay, and I've shared this story before. It just always makes me chuckle, man, because a couple years ago, I was coaching this lady, and we were working on expireds, and we had our coaching call, and I said to her, so how's it going, man? Let's talk about some wins this week, some things that you're excited about, that you have been doing in terms of expireds. And she said, well, I got to tell you, man, right up front, one of my biggest frustrations this week is that these expireds are not staying on their script. You know, and it's so funny, man, because it's so true, right? They don't always say what you want them to say. So the question is, what are you going to do when you get a response? Okay? So here's the thing. The reality is there are actually 3 types of responses that you're going to get from people. All right? 3 types of responses, and part of our job is to know what we're actually getting. Okay? So here's the 3 responses. You can get a comment, you can get an objection, or you can get a condition. Okay, those are basically the 3 types of responses that you're going to get when you start prospecting or you start following up, or if you're, closing on a listing appointment to get the signature or whatever it might be. Any selling situation, guys, 3 possible responses, okay? Comment, objection, or condition. So we need to know what it is we're getting. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more today as we dig in. Again, feel free down below to comment. Hit me with your questions. Please hit that share button for me too, man. Let's get this out to as many other people as you can think of and start spreading the word, getting the audience growing each and every week. All right? So what is an objection? Because that's really what we're looking at today, okay? Here's the deal. An objection can be an unanswered question that they have, okay? So you're talking to them about something and they're just trying to think about it up here. They're like, that just doesn't make sense, or I don't know why I should do that, and so it comes out in the form of an objection, okay? My belief also is that an objection is really the belief that whatever they're telling you is in their best interest. Okay? So they obviously have thought this through, they've come to a particular conclusion, and they feel that it's in their best interest. So you're going to see that one of the things we do to get past the objection is get them to start questioning, is that really in your best interest? Okay? Let me give an example. So let's say, for example, that you're prospecting and you talk to somebody who says to you, you know what? We're planning to list with the neighborhood specialist. Okay? We're going to list our home, but we're going to go with the agent who seems to sell a lot of properties right here in our own neighborhood. That's what we want. Okay? So now let's think about that. They have obviously considered their options, and in their mind, they think that their best interest is served by listing with somebody who works in their own neighborhood. All right? So our job now is to take that and to say to them, okay, well, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, have you ever... in other words, let's think this through. What makes you believe, okay, that, that you guys are going to be best served by working with somebody in your own neighborhood? How do you feel that's going to benefit you, okay? Just get them to talk about this objection that they've given you and clarify. And you know what happens a lot of times, guys, is when they do that, when they actually consider the question that you've thrown back at them, they realize, you know what? I really don't know. I really don't have a good answer for that. And that is the crack, that's the little opening that you need to get your foot in the door and close them for an appointment. Okay? So we're going to talk about this. There's this little 4-step outline I'm going to give you, all right, for how you handle an objection. And the third part of that is going to be this idea of a question. Okay? So I just wanted to give you an example of that because, again, when you understand that this person has given you the objection because they think that this is in their best interest, one of the best ways to deal with it is not to argue. It's not to make them wrong. It's to just simply pose the question, sort of the devil's advocate, right? And get them thinking about, well, why is that really important? How is that actually going to benefit you? Is that actually going to benefit you? And a lot of times, as they start to think about it, they realize, you know what? I guess maybe you're right. I hadn't thought about it that way before. There's the opening. There's the opportunity to close. All right? So we understand that sometimes you're not really getting an objection. Sometimes you're getting a comment. In fact, this morning, if you guys watched my episode of Make Today Count this morning, I talked about this objection, or again, it's not an objection, this comment that this FSBOs will a lot of times say, bring me a buyer. Okay? Bring me a buyer. I'll pay you 2%. Sometimes even an expired will say, look, we're not going to relist the property, but if you have a buyer, you can bring them over and maybe we can make a deal. Well, guys, that's not necessarily an objection. All right, that might just be a comment that you need to acknowledge and then move on in the conversation. All right, so what we want to focus on today are actual objections that you need to handle. All right, so let's start by just looking at a simple outline, guys. 4 steps for what we do when we get an actual objection, okay? So step number 1, okay, if you guys are taking notes, hey, Robert, good to have you on board. Thank you for joining. Ben and Tom, great to have you guys on with us as well from wonderful Colorado, where you guys are probably getting as much snow as we are here in upstate New York. So, the 4-step outline, okay? Step number 1, if you're taking notes, is we need to validate and acknowledge the objection you've gotten, okay? We need to just simply validate and affirm whatever it is they've said to you. All right, so let's say they give you the objection of, I don't know, let's just pick one. Let's say that they tell you, we're going to wait, okay? We're going to wait to put our home on the market. And the waiting can take so many forms, right, guys? It might be, we're going to wait till the spring. Okay? We're going to wait till after the holidays. We're going to wait till the market appreciates a little bit more. Whatever, right? They've got some reason that they want to wait. Okay? So that's the objection. All right? So first step is just acknowledge it. Just validate whatever it is they've said. Okay? So Mr. Mrs. Seller, you know what? I totally get that. I mean, I can understand why you might feel that that's the right thing to do. Or you know what? The truth is, I would probably feel the same way if I were in your shoes. Okay? So a statement of agreement, all right? A statement of validation that doesn't make them wrong, all right? It just simply acknowledges that you heard them, right? So many times, guys, people just want to be heard. They want to know that you understand where they're coming from. So let them know you understand. Make them feel like they're normal for whatever it is they've said to you. You know, I can totally get that. I think I would be just as frustrated if I were in your shoes, right? For the person that gives you the objection of, oh man, you're the 20th agent that's called me today. Man, I got to believe that's been pretty frustrating. I'm sure I would be frustrated if I had 20 calls before 8:30 in the morning. Okay? So back to our objection. We're going to wait. We've decided we're going to hold off and put the house on the market in a few months. Okay? Mr. Mrs. Seller, you know what? I'm going to make a note of that right here. You know, I totally understand why you're probably feeling the way. In fact, I hear that a lot. Now we move to step 2, which is we need to repackage. Again, we need to make sure they know that we have heard them. So we might say, now again, notice, guys, what I'm not suggesting is that you rephrase it word for word. Okay? That's a technique that's been taught for a long time. I used to teach it myself, and I've come to realize that I don't know that I really agree with repeating the objection back word for word. Okay? But what I do agree with is that you need to let them know that you understand. All right? So in other words, Mr. Mrs. Seller, what I'm hearing is that you guys feel it's going to be in your best interest to just kind of sit back and wait a few more months. Is that what I'm hearing? Yeah, that's right. Okay? Simple enough. Validate step number 1, repackage step number 2. Okay? You guys with me so far? Pretty straightforward, right? Here is the exciting part of the handling objection sequence, okay? And by the way, this point, number 3, is the only one that changes. This little formula that I'm giving you guys is the exact same formula that you use every single time you get an objection. The only thing that changes is number 3, which is you need to ask a compelling question. Okay? Sometimes I call it a provocative question. All right? But you need to ask a question that is related to the objection. Okay? So, let's take this example of we're going to hold off. We've decided we're going to wait till the spring. We're going to wait till whatever before we list the property. Okay, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I get it. I hear that a lot, actually, believe it or not. So in other words, it sounds like you guys just want to sit tight for maybe, a couple more months and then consider putting your property up for sale. Is that kind of what I'm hearing? Yeah, that's right. Okay, so let me ask you a question. I'm just curious, if you knew for sure there would be an advantage to listing the home sooner as opposed to waiting, would you guys want to know that? Okay, so there's your compelling question. There's an example of a compelling question that you can ask related to the waiting. Okay, so let me repeat the question. If you knew for sure that there would be a definite advantage to putting your home on the market now as opposed to waiting, would you guys want to know that? Would you at least want to know that? Okay, so here's what we're doing, guys. We're trying to draw them in. That's why I call it a provocative question, a compelling question, because it has to get them thinking. All right? It needs to get them thinking up here about, well, geez, you know, do I really want to do that? Is that something I really want to do? Okay? So in that particular case, what are they going to say? A lot of times they're going to say, well, what's the advantage? Well, I guess so, but what are you talking about? What advantage would I have? Step number 4, you close, okay? So a lot of times the answer they give you to the compelling question opens the door for you to close. Okay? Now that sounded a little weird actually as I heard myself say that. It gave you an opportunity to close, okay? So you take the opportunity, man, and you say, well, you know, the truth is that's exactly why I'm calling. Is I really would love the opportunity to sit down with you guys for maybe 15 minutes. And there's 3 things that I wanted to share with you at our meeting. Number 1 is I just wanted to share with you the exact plan that I would use if you were to put me to work on getting your home sold. Okay? So I'm guessing that if you guys do list the home, you want to know that your agent has a strong plan, right? And they're going to say yes. So what we're doing here, guys, is we're going through this little closing sequence where we're actually giving them 3 hooks, 3 reasons why they need to agree to meet with us. Okay? Number 1 is that I want to share the exact plan that I would use to get your property sold if you were to hire me. And I'm guessing that if you're going to list the property, you want to know that you've got an agent who has a strong plan. Am I right? What are they going to say? No, I want an agent that's got a terrible plan. I mean, we've had agents before that have had good plans. We want a crappy agent this time around. Right? They're not going to say that. They're going to say, yeah, of course. Great. The second thing is, I want to get you up to speed on exactly what the market is doing right now so that we can come to the decision on where we need to price your home to get the most amount of money in your pocket. Is that something that's important to you guys? Again, what are they going to say? They're going to say, yeah, of course. And then lastly, I just want to make sure I can answer any and all questions that you have, because if you're like everybody else that's ever hired me, you're probably going to have a few questions. Is that fair to assume? They're going to say yes, because they do. And you say, great. And guess what? The good news is at the end of our meeting, if it still doesn't make sense, okay? If you still want to wait, no big deal. We shake hands and we'll just keep in touch with one another, okay? So I've got time tonight around 6 or tomorrow at 7. What's better for you? Now I'm going to break this down for you a little bit, okay? So the close is based on 3 things that in other words, you want to give them a reason to meet with you, right? We're not just saying, hey, I can meet with you tonight at 6 or tomorrow at 7. We want to sell them on why this meeting is so important, okay? We're going to just give them 3 things that they're always going to agree with, that they want. Number 1 is to see the plan that you're going to use. Number 2, to get them up to date on where the market is so we can get them the most money. And 3, give you the opportunity to ask any and all questions that you have of me so that you can be comfortable making the decision. And then the part of the close that I just went through is what we call the takeaway. Okay? The takeaway means where you feed them back the objection. And you say, look, you know what the good news is? At the end of our meeting, if it still doesn't make sense and you still think you're going to be better off, insert the objection. If you guys think you're still going to be better off waiting, if you think you're going to be better off going with your friend, if you think you're going to be better off trying it on your own, if you think you're going to be better off choosing the neighborhood specialist, okay, whatever their objection was, you put it right back in and say, look, you can do that. You get no big deal, right? The good news is if it doesn't make sense and you still think you're going to be better off waiting, that's fine. Go ahead. No big deal. But at least you can make that decision with peace of mind, right? Because you'll have done your homework. Does that make sense? So what we're doing here, guys, is we're creating what we would hope is a very logical series of questions and tie downs to get you the close, to get you the appointment, okay? So let's kind of run through that again, all right? One more time. Let's pick a different objection this time. Let's say that they are going with we have a friend in the business, okay? Any of you guys ever hear that before, right? If I were standing in front of you as a live audience and I raised my hand, I'm sure everybody would be raising their hand back to me, right? Because we all hear that. Of course, yeah, I've got a friend in the business that I'm going to go with if I were to list it, okay? You know, Mr. Mississella, it doesn't surprise me, quite frankly, because I think most people know several agents who are in real estate. There's my validation. Okay? Appreciate the love and the like, guys. Thank you very much for that. Remember, keep hitting the share button. Keep commenting with questions and anything else you need below, all right? So they're going to go with a friend. Hey, Mr. Mississella, that doesn't surprise me that you're thinking that way because, frankly, I'm sure most people know at least a couple agents. So in other words, you've got somebody in mind that you think is probably who you're going to hire to list the home. Is that what I'm hearing? Okay, so I validated, I repackaged. Here comes number 3, which is what? The compelling question. Okay, so let me ask you a question. Would you say that your home is probably one of your most valuable assets? Okay, what are they going to say? Of course, yeah. I mean, I would think so. Everybody, is going to say that, right? Well, that's exactly what I thought. So obviously, that word obviously, guys, in NLP is what we call it's an anchor. It's a what is it called? An adverbial presupposition. There it is. Okay? For all of you guys who like big words, adverbial presupposition, obviously, clearly, these are examples. So, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, obviously, choosing the right agent for the job becomes a pretty big decision, doesn't it? I mean, we're talking about hiring somebody to sell one of your most valuable assets. So, let me ask you a question. If you knew for sure that by just meeting with me, you'd at least come away with some more great information and possibly a better approach to getting the home sold, would you be willing to give me 15, 20 minutes of your time? Okay? There's an example of leading into a little bit of a close, all right? So, compelling question was, would you guys agree that your home is probably one of your most valuable assets? They're always going to say yes. Okay? Very easy question. Then we say, well, obviously, that makes this decision pretty big, right? In terms of choosing somebody that you're going to hire to represent you in selling your most valuable asset, another question might be to say, well, how much value would there be in just sitting down with me for maybe 15 to 20 minutes so that I can share a couple things with you? Number one, I want to share my exact plan. Number two, I want to get you up to date on what the market's doing. Number three, I want to answer any and all questions that you have. And you know what the good news is? At the end of our meeting, if it still doesn't make sense, I mean, if you guys still believe that you're better off listing with your friend, you know what? Go ahead. No big deal. But at least you can do that with even more peace of mind because you will have looked at your options. Okay? Now, again, it's a little hard in this type of scenario because you're not really hearing the other side, right? In a real role play, in a real conversation, you're giving them opportunity. You're needing that feedback. Okay, so it's not just one long dialogue or one way monologue, right? It's they're answering, they're responding. But you guys can see if you get them thinking, because remember, they think it's in their best interest to go with their friend. Why do they think that? Well, maybe they think their friend's going to take better care of them. Maybe they think the friend's going to cut the commission. Maybe it's an emotional hurdle that they don't believe they can possibly not list with their friend. But either way, guys, we need to get the foot in the door. We need to get the crack opened enough where we can just get in front of them. That's all we're asking. Can you give me 15 or 20 minutes to show you three things? Bang, bang, bang. And at the end of our meeting, the good news is if it doesn't make sense. I mean, if you guys still believe that your best bet is to list with your friend, go ahead. Not a big deal, but you can make that choice with even more peace of mind, because you'll have done your homework. Does that make sense, Mr. Seller? Well, maybe, possibly. Okay, great. Well, reality is I got time tonight at 6:30, and I've also got an open time tomorrow at 7. So why don't we get together, go through these couple of items, and then you decide what you think is best for you guys. Fair enough? And hopefully, now, guys, let's take a step back for a minute, all right? Anything and everything we talk about in terms of handling objections, dealing with a selling situation, those are not guaranteed, okay? We know that. There is no foolproof objection handler that's going to win every time. But here's the thing. Let's say when you get the we're going to go with a friend objection, let's say that only 2 out of 10 times are you able to get past it and get the appointment, okay? Then you take this approach and you upgrade, you improve, you work on it, and you go from 2 out of 10 to 5 out of 10, okay? Now, 5 out of 10 is only 50%, man. That's not perfection. It does get you into the Hall of Fame, though, if you have a 500 batting average for you baseball fans. Okay? But see, we're just looking for improvement, man. We're not looking to make you perfect, because nobody is. There is no foolproof, perfect handler. But we want you better, okay? We want get better results than you're getting right now. So the idea is you take this formula, you take this strategy. The biggest thing you're going to need to work on, in fact, the assignment that I would give you guys, is come up with the top 5 to 10 objections that you get on a regular basis. And quite honestly, I bet you can't even find 10, all right? There's not that many out there. How many objections are there really? There might be 6, 7, 8 of them that you're going to hear on a regular basis, okay? Come up with 1 or better yet 2 compelling questions that you can insert into the formula that I just gave you, and then practice. Practice, 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 all right? I mean, guys, if you want to get paid more, you get paid in direct proportion to the level of skill that you have. Okay? Bottom line, guys, we know that. Okay? So if you increase your skill set, you upgrade your skills, you get paid more money. That's how it works. All right? So if you will practice, if you will commit to taking this formula, learn the steps, figure out the compelling questions, and then practice the snot out of it for the next 30 to 60 to 90 days. Okay? If you guys let's say you found 6 objections, and you committed the second quarter of this year to mastering those 6, imagine what the second half of 2018 would look like for you guys. Okay? So let's go through it one more time, all right? Excuse me. And again, questions below, please comment. I think I've hit them all so far. Share button, please. I definitely want to get this shared out with as many people as you can think of. And, again, just anything you need from me, all right? Just let's keep this dialogue going. But let's run through it one more time. Validate or affirm what they said. Number 2 is repackage what they've said. Make sure that they know that you know what they said. Number 3, compelling question, which is the key to the whole thing. Number 4, go through the closing sequence. Okay? Again, the closing dialogue sounds a little bit like this. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, all I'm asking for is the chance to sit down with you for maybe 15 to 20 minutes. And there's 3 things that I would love to go over with you at our meeting. Okay? Number 1 is I just want to share with you the exact plan that I will use to get your home sold if you choose to hire me. Because I'm guessing you guys want to know that your agent has a strong marketing plan. Am I right? Well, yeah, of course. Okay, great. Number 2 is I want to get you up to date on what the market is doing right now so that we can make the best decision on where to position your home to get you the most amount of money. I mean, is that important, guys? Well, yeah, of course. Okay, great. That's what I thought. And finally, I just want to answer any and all questions you have, because the reality is if you're like everybody else that's ever hired me, I'm guessing you'll have a question or two. Am I right? Yeah, probably. Okay, great. So look, the reality is I've got time tonight at 6:30, and it looks like I've got time tomorrow at 7, which is better for you. Okay? And hopefully they give you the time, and then you do the takeaway. Look, the good news is, guys, at the end of our meeting, if it still doesn't make sense, I mean, if you guys still want to go ahead and blank, whatever the objection was, go ahead. No big deal. But at least you can do that with peace of mind because you'll have done your homework. Guys, does that make sense? Now, we're hoping that they are A, motivated so that this does make sense, and B, that they see the simplicity. You're asking for a meeting and you're going to talk about 3 things they've already agreed are important to them. So, you see what I'm saying, guys? It's not foolproof, but we're looking for them to logically just follow you through and say, okay, fine. Now, again, if you have questions below, please, if you got another objection that you've been struggling with, put it down in the comments and let's deal with it, okay? But again, I just want to reiterate, the key thing for you to take away today from our time together is what are the compelling questions that you're going to use for the objections you're getting, okay? So we've already talked about we want to wait, okay? The compelling question is if you knew for sure there'd be a definite advantage to putting your home on the market now as opposed to waiting, would you at least want to know that? I got a friend in the business, or I'm going to relist with my previous agent. Okay, same handler, guys. Any objection that involves them choosing somebody else, what we're doing here, just so I want to get you into the thinking a little bit, all right? What we're doing is we're getting them to question, is that really the best thing for me? Okay? They think that their best friend is the right way to go. They think going with their previous agent is the right way to go. We want to get them to question that. Okay, so we're not going to attack them. We're not going to make them wrong, but we're going to get them to think about, hey, is that really the best bet? And is there value in getting another opinion? What you don't want to do is do what a lot of agents do and ask the yes or no question. Don't you think you'd owe it to yourself to get another opinion? Okay, don't ask that. It's too easy for them to say, no, I think I'm all set. Get them thinking. So, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, would you agree that your home is probably one of your most valuable assets? They're all going to say yes. Then because of that, obviously that makes this a pretty big decision, doesn't it? You know, in terms of choosing an agent to represent you in selling your home. So here's all I'm asking. Give me 15 or 20 minutes. Give me the opportunity to share with you 3 things. If they don't make sense, if you still think you're better off going with your friend, going back with your previous agent, fine, go ahead. I mean, tell them, just tell them over the phone, man, I don't care. You can do what you want. Just give me the meeting. Here's what you're doing. You're setting yourself, you're putting the pressure back on yourself to go in and present like a champion and show them that you clearly are the best agent for the job. Okay? So the burden's on you guys. Once you get them to agree to meet with you, you better go in and have a great presentation and sell them on you. Okay? Which obviously that is a subject for several more sessions of Real Training Live when we get into the listing presentation. So, Jod, bring me a buyer. Please, can you handle it? Okay. Did you watch Make Today Count this morning? I don't know if you did because I talked about that this morning in Make Today Count. But let's go over it again, all right? Bring me a buyer. That does not have to be an objection. They may turn it into an objection, but it doesn't have to start off as an objection. You can say to them, hey, you know what? The truth is, if I have a buyer that I think is going to be a great fit for your home, trust me, I will make sure I bring them to your house. But let me ask you a question. At this point, in a perfect world, how soon do you guys actually want to be sold? Okay, so I'm just going right back to my script. All right, I'm acknowledging their comment to bring me a buyer, and I'm going right back into my script. I'm just asking the next qualifying question. Now, they may press it and turn it into objection. They may say to you, hey, you know what? I'm not going to list, or they may say, I'm only going to list my home with somebody who brings me buyers, or whoever brings me the most number of buyers. Excuse me, every once in a while, you get these FSBOs that think that their criteria for their listing agent should be whoever brings them the most number of buyers. Hello, have you ever stopped to think about why that doesn't make sense? All right, so our job is to ask questions and help them understand that's not what you want. Okay, Mr. FSBO, may I ask you a question? Have you ever considered why it would be a disadvantage to choose an agent who says they work with a lot of buyers? Have you ever thought about that? Well, what are you talking about? That's what I want, agents who have a lot of buyers. Okay, do you have any idea how many buyers represents a lot of buyers for an agent? Have you ever thought about that? Well, what do you mean? Well, so for example, if I told you that if an agent has 4 or 5 active buyers at any one time, they are swamped. They are so busy showing 4 or 5 buyers' properties on a daily basis, writing offers, negotiating, going through all this stuff. They are busy with 5 buyers. Has anybody ever shared that with you? Well, no, not really. Okay, so let's say I'm one of those agents and I've got 5 buyers and I bring them all to your house. What do you think the chances are that one of those 5 buyers is going to be the right one for your home? What do you think the likelihood of that is? Well, I don't know. Well, they're all looking at different price points. They're all looking for different property styles. They're all looking at different neighborhoods and school districts. So the reality is, I could line up every buyer I have, and there's a good chance that they may not be the right fit for your home. So now guess what I'm doing for the next 2 weeks? Well, what do you mean? Well, if I've got 5, 6, 8 buyers, and they don't want to buy your home, what am I going to be doing for the next several days or weeks? Well, I don't know. Well, I'm going to be showing all your competition, trying to find the home that will fit for these buyers. So how much time do I actually have to do what you hired me to do, which is sell your home? If all I'm doing is showing these buyers, what amount of effort can I really make to get your property sold? I mean, is that what you want? You want an agent who's spending all their time selling your competition, or do you want an agent who's focused on getting your home sold? You tell me, what do you want? Okay, so guys, when you explain it to them, if you get the opportunity, show them, look, it doesn't even make sense to choose an agent that says they got a lot of buyers because probably they're not going to buy your home and they're going to be so busy they can't do anything to get your home sold. Okay, so we got off on a little digression there. But what I want to show you is asking questions and logically helping them realize that their thinking isn't right. I didn't make them wrong. I didn't say you're an idiot for thinking that. I just said, hey, let's talk about this for a minute. Has anybody ever shared with you what that really looks like and what how the process works? And let's just kind of walk through this and see if you come to the same conclusion that I've come to, which is you need an agent who specializes in marketing and listing properties, not somebody who schleps buyers around 10, 12 hours a day. Okay, that's not the kind of agent you want representing you if you want your home sold for top dollar, which I'm guessing you do, right? Okay, most people do. All right, so there's another example of handling an objection or the whole bring me a buyer thing. I would just come right out and ask them, hey, are you asking me that? Are you suggesting that because you're actually looking for an agent who works with lots and lots of buyers? I mean, is that really what you're hoping for? Well, yeah, isn't that what I should be hoping for? Oh, man. Well, I guess nobody's ever shared with you how real estate really works, right? and you just go into the whole thing. All right? Questioning, not telling. Selling is not telling, it's asking strong questions. All right? So you got to know what the questions are to be able to ask to get the dialogue going. Now again, is it foolproof? No. Are they all going to follow your line of reasoning? No. But will more of them follow you? Hopefully. Right? That's what we want. All right? So, I know what I wanted to tell you guys. Mindset. Okay? Everything that we do in this business has a mindset component. Let's put it that way. Okay? There's a mindset element to everything we do in real estate. So, for example, most of the problems agents have with handling objections isn't necessarily knowing what to say. It's having the mindset of asking the questions and persevering and being willing to confront somebody in their belief. Okay? That is really the first hurdle we have to get over, is that we have to accept the fact that our job is to help them, right? Our job is to help people make a difference in their life, and we believe we're the best choice for that. But we're going to get some objections to that. So the handling of objections stems from the belief that you are the best choice for the job. Number one, you got to believe, man, with all of your heart that you are the best choice for these people. That will motivate you to go the extra mile, to push a little harder, to ask the extra question, to have the level of conviction in your voice that sells them on, okay, let's meet with this guy or this gal. Okay? Hopefully you guys see that when I step in front of the camera. I mean, I believe what I'm saying. I have conviction. I've seen it work. I want to help you guys. So that sort of affects the way I deliver. You guys have to have that same conviction, that belief that what I'm saying to you right now, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, is in your best interest. Meeting with me, giving me 15 or 20 minutes or whatever, half an hour, is in your best interest because I know what it takes to help you. Okay? And I want the opportunity, so therefore, I'm going to ask for it. So again, mindset, guys, so often will be the key to doing what you have to do in terms of handling the objections. All right, so hopefully that makes sense to you guys. But again, this isn't complicated because really all you need to do is master the formula and figure out what your compelling question is going to be based on the objections you're getting. Okay? And there's not that many. I mean, there really aren't that many objections. Let's try to take one more. What have we got here? About 140? Okay? Let's see if we can take one more objection. Does anybody have one they want to throw out at me? I appreciate all the likes and the applause, guys. Seriously, this is for you, man. I mean, I want this for you guys. I want you to go out and just dominate your marketplace. But if you've got an objection, throw one at me, or I'm sure I can think of one that we get on a regular basis. Commission. Okay, there's an obvious one, right? They're always challenging what we get paid. So if they say to you, will you cut your commission? There's lots of ways they say it, but let's just pick that one, okay? Let's say they say to you on the phone, hey, will you cut your commission? Okay, so Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you know, the truth is I can understand why you're saying that. I mean, I've had a lot of people that ask me the same question. So it sounds like what you're looking for is you want to net the most amount of money. It sounds like what you're really saying is you want to make sure you walk away with the most amount of money possible in your pocket. Is that really what I'm hearing? Okay, so one thing with commission that we need to do right up front is we need to shift the language. Okay, sometimes it's called a level shift or whatever, but we want to shift it from commission to net. Okay, because guys, the reality is you can't do anything about the commission. Commission is a fact. You're going to get paid for your service, right? So we're not going to be able to just eliminate the commission. We may not even choose to cut the commission. But what we want to focus on is something you can help them with, which is net. Okay? So we shift gears. We say, look, it sounds like what you're hoping to do is really walk away with as much money as possible in your pocket. Is that really what's important to you guys? What are they going to say? They're always going to say yes. Okay, so let me ask you a question. If you knew for sure that by hiring me for the job, not only would you have a better chance of selling the property, but you would actually walk away with the most amount of money possible in your pocket, is there any other reason that you wouldn't be open to hiring me for the job? Well, I don't know. How are you going to do that? If I got to pay you full commission, how am I going to net the most amount of money? Well, that's obviously a great question. That's really why I'm calling, is I just want the opportunity to sit down with you for maybe, 15, 20 minutes. Okay, so let's stop for a moment. Did you see the compelling question? All right, I repackaged and I reconfirmed, but I did a level shift in there too to get them to stop talking about commission and start talking about net. Okay, sometimes you could even say to them, "Look, guys, let me ask you a question. This may sound a little funny. Are you really hoping to go brag to your friends that you got your agent to cut your commission, or do you want to brag to your friends that you walked away with the biggest net possible to you? What's really most important?" Let's put it into reality, guys. It's not about commission; it's about net. Once they agree with that, then you ask the compelling question. Okay? If you knew for sure that by hiring me, not only would you have a better chance of selling, but you would actually accomplish what you just said, which is to walk away with as much money as possible in your pocket, is there anything else that would keep you from hiring me for the job? Okay? So we're trying to isolate there, and we're trying to set up the close, which again, that's all I'm asking for, 15 to 20 minutes of your time. There's 3 things I want to cover. At the end of our meeting, the good news is, if it doesn't make sense, you still want to, go with the agent that's going to cut their commission, or you still want to try it on your own, that's fine, no big deal. Okay? So use the formula, guys, is my point. Just decide what your compelling question is going to be. Jad, you posed one that says, I can sell on my own. Okay, I actually hear that quite often from people, believe it or not. So in other words, you're feeling like you're going to just keep doing it on your own and you're going to have success. Is that what I'm hearing? Okay, great. I'm just curious. May I ask you a question? How many properties have you actually sold on your own over the years? Now, you will find people that have done this, okay? And they're going to say, well, I've sold 7 properties on my own. Fantastic, man. That is incredible. The good news is our team actually sold 7 of them last week. So, we're very familiar with what it takes to get properties sold. So let me ask you a question. If you knew for sure that by putting me to work for the job of getting your home sold, that you would actually have a better chance of selling it and net the most amount of money, would you at least be willing to just sit down with me for 15 or 20 minutes? Okay, so we're going for the close. But your question there was that you're asking, how many homes have you ever actually sold on your own? Sometimes they're going to say, well, we haven't, but it can't be that hard. Sometimes they might say they've sold 1. And then you do run into the people that are the professional FSBOs, right? And they've sold several on their own. And in some cases, guys, you may or may not get past it. Let's be honest. Again, they're not foolproof. It isn't a guarantee. But the question we need to ask them is there a better choice, right? If you knew that by working with me, you would get a better outcome. Okay? Another option you could ask them, I'm just curious, what makes you feel that it's in your best interest to sell your property on your own? How do you see that as benefiting you? Well, then we don't have to pay the commission. Oh, so really it's not just about selling, it's about making sure you walk away with the most amount of money. Is that really what's most important? Well, yeah, of course. Okay, so let me ask you. If you knew that by putting me to work, not only would you sell it, but you'd be able to net the most amount of money possible in your pocket, is there any other reason you wouldn't put me to work? Okay, so it always comes back to the same thing, but we need to get them to tell us. Okay, have them tell you what the objection is. What's going on up here? Why do they think that's in their best interest? Why would they want to sell it on their own? Because they think it's going to be their best outcome. Let's challenge that, right? Let's get them to really think about, is that true? Is that really going to be the best outcome for me? Okay, another one that you guys threw up. It's a hot market here in Michigan. You're absolutely right. It is a hot market, which means 2 things. Number 1, you need the strongest agent possible representing you in this hot market. And number 2, you need to pick someone that has a track record that shows that they can get the job done. As long as you felt that I could do those 2 things, is there really any reason you wouldn't put me to work? I don't know what they're going to say, but I'm going to ask the question. Okay? So it's a hot market. Great. Okay? That's great. But really what that tells me is, and then you share with them what it tells you. They need the best representation possible, and they need someone with a track record to take advantage of the hot market. Okay? So again, figure out what the first thing is. Make a list. Okay? Let's make a list of all the objections that you deal with day in and day out, week in and week out. Underneath each objection, come up with obviously at least 1, but preferably 2 compelling questions that you can ask that are related to the objection, plug it into the formula, practice the heck out of it, master it, learn it, own it, and then be ready to deliver it, okay? So, guys, there's not much more to say, all right? That's the reality of handling objections. It's really an art and it's a skill at the same time, but seriously, I hope that you guys have come away with at least a couple big takeaways from today's conversation on Real Training Live, all right? So, anything else, guys, real quick before we wrap up? If you have them, post them below. If you're watching this as a rebroadcast, all right, make sure that you ask questions. Make sure that you hit me up with any objections that you need help with. And obviously, again, hit the share button for me if you would, and just push this out to some other agents, all right? So, guys, that's it for Real Training Live on this great Wednesday. Thank you for that comment, Ben. Totally appreciate it. And again, if there's anything else I can do for you guys to help you get past it, you need to let me know. Next week, actually, I don't remember right off the top of my head what the schedule is or what the topic is for next week, but we'll be back here 1 o'clock Eastern, Real Training Live, for another session to give you guys what you need to go out and kill it in your marketplace, all right? So have a great rest of the day. Thank you for being a part of it, and we'll talk to you again real soon, guys. Have a great rest of the day.